It's a bird, it's a plane, it's Superman for the Nintendo 64. If I'm going to keep playing licensed games on my channel, which I plan on doing, then it was only a matter of time before I played through the agony and pain that is Superman 64. Allow me to explain some of the lore of this game before we start picking it apart. If you aren't familiar with the Superman game on the N64, it's considered one of the worst games released for the rather revolutionary console. And depending on who you ask, it may be the worst game ever. But why? Superman is a familiar and loved character. The Nintendo 64 was a stepping stone for consoles, and games in general were becoming increasingly popular at the time. So come on, how bad could they have really messed up? Well, pretty bad. And in this video, we're gonna touch on the development, marketing, and criticism, while also sharing my own horrible playthrough. With that being said, I hope you enjoy the video, and let's get into it. The game is actually called Superman: The New Adventures of Superman, and was first shown at the E3 convention in 1997, and would make 2 more appearances there in 1998 and 99, which would be the same year of its release. The game was developed by Titus Interactive. You may know them for releases such as
Lamborghini American Challenge.
No, not ringing any bells? Okay, how about
Automobili Lamborghini.
or maybe
Lamborghinis in bikinis eating linguine.
The point is, Titus wasn't a big name, and they most certainly weren't ready to create the demanding superhero game that they dreamt up and promised. So the foundations of the game weren't off to the best start, but all hope was not yet lost. Eric Keane is the co-founder of Titus, and from what I understand, he wanted to create a game that was, quote, the first superhero-based video game where players really behave as a superhero. One thing that was heavily emphasized about the game was the 3D aspect. Titus was trying to make something similar to 1996's Tomb Raider, which was a huge success. Eric eventually garnered the rights from Warner Bros. To begin development on the game, and that took place around the time that Superman the Animated Series began airing its first season. Later on that year, they signed the licensing deal with Warner Bros. That allowed them to make Superman games based off the animated series for the N64, PlayStation, and the Game Boy. They released the Game Boy version just 1 year later, but they probably should have never released it at all because the game just sucks like fuck. And you were probably better off just buying a pet rock or something. But they didn't really care about the Game Boy because they were after the N64. You see, up until this game was made by Titus, there were 10 other Superman games that were released. But this one was different because they were going 3D for the first time in the series. They wanted to make this amazing superhero open world game that was set in the city of Metropolis. The game was being extremely hyped up in the year prior to its release. They showed some promising teasers at E3, and for the most part, the game received positive feedback, especially from a few popular gaming magazines. But with a face like that, it was just the calm before the storm. After 2 years of development, on May 31st, 1999, Superman 64 was released. Okay, so the story starts off with Lex Luthor throwing our friends Jimmy Olsen, Lois Lane, and this guy into a virtual world. That's right. We're 4 seconds in and the game is contradicting itself. If it's a virtual world, then my pixelized friends aren't in any real danger, right? Supposedly, Warner Bros. Were kind of pressuring Titus to include this whole virtual storyline. That way Superman wouldn't be harming any real people. So then why is he so super? I kill people in virtual reality too. There's nothing super about that. So if we want to save our friends, Lex Luthor says we have to solve his maze. Sounds quite daunting, right? Well, the maze is just these rings in the sky that you have to fly through. And sadly, I'm not even joking, you spend more time flying through these rings than actually playing the mission. And there's nothing fun about the rings, you just keep going through them and you can't miss like more than 3 or else Lex wins. But it gets even worse. The controls feel like you're trying to fly a commercial airplane while only using your feet. And even if you're a little bit off with the turning, Superman's gonna fly 40 miles off course, and don't even think about taking it slower because there's a strict fucking time limit. Once you finish the rings, you'll come to some kind of bullshit scenario. In this one, they want you to lift the... What the fuck? How fast am I supposed to read that? I guess I gotta lift the car. There's only 4 seconds. What the fuck? Fuck! The instructions on what you're supposed to do literally flash on the screen for about 2 frames. So you have no idea what you're supposed to do, but they want you to do it within 5 fucking seconds. And if you fail, guess what? You gotta fly through the rings all over again. Look at this. I fly through this ring, and as I'm getting ready to go through the next one, it disappears. Well, I guess anything could happen in virtual reality, huh? Put the police... Okay, let's go grab it, and it fucking explodes. Fuck. Even with my superhuman flying speeds, I can't get there fast enough. Every time you restart the mission, Superman gives you this great quote.
Then there's no time to waste.
And he's completely right. So I don't know why the fuck I'm wasting my time playing this bullshit. Now I gotta put these tornadoes out with my super breath. And I don't even have any of my abilities. I gotta go and find them and then pick them up off the floor. So I guess anyone can just pick up Superman's abilities. I tried blowing out the tornadoes for 10 minutes with no luck. Turns out you have to be inside the tornado, then use your super breath. They're about the same size as Superman, so honestly, how dangerous could they really be? This lady doesn't look too worried about them. This game has more rings than those emo belts from the mid-2000s. I'm 5 minutes in and they're already so repetitive. Superman wins? What did he win exactly? The Ring Olympics? What is this? It takes 20 whole minutes of you flying through these rings to get to the first actual mission. And you can't even read what you're supposed to do. Look how blurry this text is. Mala plans to blow up Metropolis's hydroelectric dam. Superman must find and disarm the bombs before it's too late. The gameplay and missions are even worse than you imagined. Superman's got a karate chop and an uppercut that feel completely useless. But there's an even bigger problem. Everything you touch explodes. Hit an enemy? Fucked in the ass. Pick up a box? Fucked in the ass. But you need to pick up that box to grab this key card and then use it on the computer. But what computer are you supposed to use it on? Well, I was trying to figure that out for about 35 minutes. It won't work on these 15 computers right here, or the other 30 in this room. It doesn't work on any of these doors. I hate having to use a guide to play a game, but I had to look up where to go for this part. Turns out it's the room you spawn in. Whoop-de-fucking-do. The villain Mala is behind this whole mission, so let's go and talk to her.
You're too late, Superman. You'll never stop the bombs without the help of the dam workers, and I've hidden them in a secret cage deep underwater.
Well, thanks for telling me where you hid them. It seems like she was much more worried about revealing the cage that they're in rather than the location for some reason. Instead of killing Mala right then and there, she goes through the screen and disappears into thin air. But remember, virtual world. So now you gotta go and talk to the dam workers who all look like they were made in the Me Creator. They give you even more codes to put in the computer, so you gotta go back, and now there's a tank blocking your way. Now how, you know what, never mind. It might seem like I was making some swift progress throughout this game, but don't be fooled by the power of editing. This game has a playthrough time of around 2.5 to 3 hours, and by the time I finished it, I had around 8 hours worth of recordings, and 2 of those hours were easily spent on this first mission I'm on now. After you kill that tank, you gotta fight Mala, and it's just the most awkward series of punches and glitches, so who knows if you're even doing a good job. Sometimes the camera gets stuck behind the door, so you can't even see the fight. You just gotta start mashing buttons and hope for the best. After you kill her, you open these 2 doors where the bombs are and freeze them with your super breath. But remember, you gotta find the super breath somewhere in the map. After 2 hours of pain, followed 10 seconds of joy. Finally, oh my god, this mission fucking sucks. What? No. Yep, after completing the objectives, I took a second to breathe, and the fucking robots killed me while I was in the Superman windscreen. Fucking dog shit game. You're never gonna guess what we gotta do after this mission. Look, there's so many ring levels that we're not even gonna go through them anymore. Let's just do what the developer should have done and focus on the main missions. Mission 2 sucks poo. Here's what we gotta do. Only Lex Luthor knows where your friends are. Search his lair for clues about Professor Hamilton, Lois, and Jimmy's location. Whenever you enter this pool room, the game goes from like 20 frames to 8 frames. And I think it's because the floor has a reflection. Why would they put so much detail and effort into random small rooms instead of anywhere else? Their priorities were everywhere except the right places. On this table, we find a secret note between 2 of the villains. Here is the code. Guard it well. Green, red, blue. While I have to admit, leaving it on the table was a great guarding strategy. You gotta remember this code and activate the computers upstairs in the same exact order. Luckily, the game hadn't replenished all of my brain cells just yet, so I was able to remember it. And the next room is a puzzle that does a great job at making you feel stupid. You have 3 minutes to spell the word Luthor. Seems easy at first, but they decided to make this specific puzzle the most confusing in the entire game. There's 6 letters on your screen, and every computer you touch changes them. One computer changes only the last letter, some of them jumble all the letters together, and others will only change like the last 3. Since the computer changes every time you fail, it takes about 2 minutes out of the timer to understand what you gotta do each time. And as soon as you're even remotely close to finishing it, you get a hurry up message that blocks all the letters. And unlike every other message in this game, this one stays for a nice long time. I guess they thought no one would be able to see the giant fucking timer covering the top half of the screen. After you complete that, it opens an elevator and you gotta fight Brainiac. Then you get this cutscene where Superman flies out of the building. Not by using these two giant open spaces, instead he bursts through the glass in the middle and decks himself in this mountain on the way out. So, as you can see, this game was nowhere near the quality that was promised before its release. Listen to this statement from Animation World Network. The game appears to have stunning 3D environments, various fight levels, and rescue operations. Well, who knows? Maybe the environment was stunning, as they say, but the game never lets you explore Metropolis because of the shitty ring missions. They worked on creating this big city just to focus on small little areas, and the graphics are horrible. If these graphics are stunning, then Minecraft pixel art is like the fucking Mona Lisa. Just look at Superman's face. He looks like a fucking crackhead. We'll get back to that in a minute because right now Lois Lane is being held by Lex Luthor. This mission sucks ass with a straw. Lois Lane is trapped in this glass room and you gotta go find this hidden computer to get her out.
Thank you, Superman. I found out Lex Luthor is smuggling weapons into Metropolis.
Okay, can you be a little bit more specific? Is it the actual Metropolis or the simulation of Metropolis? Because only one of those are gonna make a good argument in court. Look at this. She walks into the camera, one frame goes by.
Help, Superman, it's a trap.
Well, where the fuck did you go? I'm Superman, just stay next to me, Jesus Christ. In this mission, Lex Luthor is trying to make Lexoscale 5000s. So we gotta stop him from producing them. After you do that, you gotta transport Lois Lane out of the factory. Yet another seemingly simple task that will have you pulling out your pubic hair. The AI for Lois Lane is horrible. Look at this stupid fucking run she does. She's in a life-threatening situation, yet she's walking like she's in a fucking fashion runway. If you walk 3 feet past her, she'll stop dead in her tracks and wait for you to come back. You have to walk side by side and guide her slow ass out of the building. I found this little speedrun glitch where you can push her between the walls and run, but it didn't really help that much because when you get outside, the shadow people start shooting at her and she's just walking like nothing's happening. So inevitably she dies and you gotta restart the whole fucking thing. I guess that's one of the many reasons this game sucks. If you fail a scenario, it's back to the rings. If you fail a mission, it's back to the start. Fuck checkpoints. This game is so good that nobody will mind having to play the missions over and over and over and over and over and over and over. And the only credit I can give this game is its ability to continually hit higher levels of stupidness. And there's no greater example I can give you than the 4th mission. Photographer Jimmy Olsen is being held prisoner by Darkseid's parademons in the Daily Planet's underground garage. Free Jimmy, knock out Darkseid, and take the villain to the police. This level plays pretty smoothly for the most part. Jimmy's stuck with 2 robots, and if you step into the room, they're programmed to kill him. So what you gotta do is go and find Lex Luthor's key card so you can disable the robots. Finding the card is pretty difficult, mostly because it's hidden underneath this specific car in the parking lot. How stupid of me, that's the most obvious place to put a key card. After you free Jimmy, the game starts a 10-minute timer. And if there's one thing I've learned about this game, it's that when they start a timer, that means some kind of stupid shit's about to take place. So now you gotta go and freeze both of these bombs before the timer runs out. I don't know if anyone else is wondering this, but how does ice stop a bomb from exploding? Am I stupid to think that that doesn't make any sense, or is there some actual science behind that? Now we gotta fight Darkseid, and even though I had 0 health, the fight was stupidly easy. Look at him. He just keeps walking like an iron golem right into my karate chop. That's another thing about this game. The villains in this game are boring. If you're not paying attention, you won't even realize that you're killing a top-notch villain like Darkseid. He's just the same as any other enemy. No special attacks, he's got a regular amount of health, and no cool voice acting lines. Actually, no lines at all. Pathetic. Now, if you don't know much about Superman or the villains, Darkseid is a literal god in the DC universe. He's like one of the most powerful villains ever. Don't believe me? Look at this picture of him holding the fucking earth in his hands. Now, do they seriously expect me and you to believe that the local police are going to be able to hold on to this guy? See, this is where the whole simulation concept ruined the only thing that the game had going for it, which was the story. It's like me putting on a VR headset and taking a giant shit on the floor and expecting people to excuse it because I was in the fucking metaverse. While transporting him to the police, you run into the most aggravating glitches. Let's recap real quick what happened there. I get him onto the elevator, he clips through it, and I die. No one even shot me. I just died for no reason. Now I gotta do it all over again. What in the fuck? I went to pick him up and he turned into a helium-filled balloon. The fuck was that all about? The time that it takes you to carry him to the police while you're walking is so long. But if you try and fly while holding him, shit like this happens. Incredible. I mean, at this point, I'm not even surprised. I'm actually just kind of sad. I don't even know what to say anymore. What in the fuck is happening? With that huge promotional campaign a year before its release, they were giving out t-shirts, videotapes, and boxes as a reference to the in-game boxes. But what they should have gave you as a promotional item was a blowtorch and a garbage bag so you can destroy this piece of shit after it gives you a mental breakdown. Alrighty, we got 2 more crappy missions to do, so let's get to it. Okay, in this mission, a villain named Parasite has trapped Professor Hamilton in this cave-like place with water, and he's gonna raise the water and drown him, so we gotta stop that somehow. First thing we gotta do is destroy this tank so we can go talk to the professor, who tells us to use a code in the computer room in order to stop the water. Parasite tries to beat you up while you activate the computers, but it seems like he's just missing on purpose. We come back to the professor and he tells us how to trap the parasite in this force field. But first you gotta get this key card under the water, and there's these crab robot things that are just so hard to kill. Fighting isn't really an option, so I just tried jumping past them and it worked somehow. By this point, it's been like my 6th attempt at this mission, and this run was going super good. Almost too good. And when I seen Parasite glitching out on this wall, I knew something was wrong. So we lead him into the trap, and now we gotta go to another computer room upstairs to free the professor. I was flying up to the 2nd level when I clipped into the fucking void and Superman started doing weird fucking shit. What is he doing? He's fucking humping my screen. On my next attempt, I made it to the 2nd level and activated the computer to release our friend. Now it was finally time to go talk to him and end the mission. Oh, okay, never mind actually. Sometime later on, I finished this fucking mission by talking to the professor after freeing him, and was rewarded by being able to go through even more rings because this is Superman, the ring simulator. Okay, this is mission 6, and it's like the easiest mission in the most complicated way. It's probably the biggest mission as far as like areas you can explore and enemies you can kill. I easily spent about an hour in here just flying around, killing enemies, clipping through the map, and just trying to figure out what the fuck I'm supposed to do. But all you have to do is fly from one end of the map to the other and then kill a robot. And that's it. A hole opens up in the ceiling and you fly out. Now the game takes you to the next stage screen, but when you try to load it, you get brought back to the home screen. I thought it was a glitch at first, so I tried multiple times to load this level up. But here's the funny part. You have to play the entire game all over again on the hardest difficulty in order to play the final mission. Are you fucking kidding me? Why didn't they mention this at all in the beginning of the game? And I'm sorry, but if you think I'm gonna dump more hours to my already 8 hours of game time, you're crazy. I couldn't do it. Do you want to know the most craziest thing about this entire game? It was actually a financial success. This game had so many sales, it ended up being one of the top 10 sellers in 1999. Then Titus even came out and said that it was the 3rd best selling game for the N64. So they actually made money off this piece of crap game. But wait, there's more. According to Titus, the consumer feedback was overwhelmingly positive. People actually liked this fucking game. And we're not talking about like game critics here. These are just reviews from regular people who bought the game. Now, when you realize that those consumers who said they loved the game were 6 to 11 years old, then it all makes sense. Of course they loved the game. When I was ages 6 to 11, I couldn't tell my head from my ass. I thought Castle Miner Z was some kind of historical, groundbreaking game made by fucking aliens. The actual game critics, on the other hand, were not letting this shit slide and quickly deemed it the worst game of all time. They pounced on this game.
The game has a rushed, careless feel.
The developers have not put forth any priorities for this title other than to finish it. Executed so poorly that it actually serves to butcher the reputation of the prominent action hero.
Everything about this game sucks ass, from controls to story and graphics. Despite all odds, not only did this game manage to make tons of money, but it broke a Guinness World Record for being the lowest rated superhero game. And I'm honestly mad that they even gave that to them. It's too good of a statement for this fucking game. Well, I think that's about everything I had on my chest for Superman 64. But before I go, I just wanted to discuss all the amazing feedback from my previous few videos. I read all the comments, and I just want to say thank you for all the kind words and people who decided to subscribe and stick around the channel. As you could probably tell, I'm still kind of experimenting with the type of videos I'm uploading. I mainly like creating these type of gaming videos, but I also had a great time making that story type video that got the most attention so far. So for all the new people sticking around the channel, it's still early and you might see a variety of different styled videos. But either way, I'm still going to put all my effort into them, and hope you enjoyed today's video and continue to enjoy future uploads. And with that said, thank you for watching. It means a lot to me, and I hope you return for the next video. Goodbye.